How's it going, man?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
I'm good, man. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we're off to a really good start.
We are, we really are. Yeah, we kind of messed up in the beginning, but we're good now, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're done being boomers. Now, I wonder how bad it's gonna be when I hit OBS.
Oh, we have to hit OBS.
Well, for me, I do because I can't stream it directly to my channel, which I just realized. So that was a really good idea on my end.
Yeah, it was. Um,
Ah, well, I could probably just get a copy and upload it afterward if I can't get it to work with OBS. I'm not gonna screw around with it too bad anyway.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one before we do start. There's one thing I'm having a problem right now. It's funny, like everyone can probably listen to what we're saying, but and know our fuck ups. But apparently, it's not popping up on my channel. Do you know how to fix that in the live?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's not live yet. I guess we can hope for that. I I don't know. I'm not sure. I can like look real quick because they can't see my screen or anything.
Exactly. They can't see your screen. But the thing I do find weird is that is I'm on my
You want
channel.
me to look on your channel? Actually, I do have your channel open in a
Yeah.
tab. See if it's
This is-
see if it's coming up.
Oh, we are live. Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay.
great.
So we were talking about not being live for like 5 minutes straight. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, we're off to a good start.
Yes. So man, so what we're gonna do today basically is just talk about what's going on first. If you want to do introduce yourself, obviously you don't have to do personal stuff. You can just do the basic stuff. Just introduce yourself to the people that are not from wherever we come, which I'm not gonna say on here. But yeah,
Yeah. So I go by Hell on Wheels here. I do have a channel that I'm kind of setting up myself, but basically I've been a truther for a while, and I'm glad to have connected with this community.
that's good to hear, man. Yeah, I've been a truther since I was about 15 or 16. I remember my dad usually was the one that woke me up to it. He didn't really wake me up, but he did talk about that stuff. And then I started just watching KJ and Days of Noah and channels like that. And those all really woke me up. But throughout the whole thing, my dad did help me out. And if for people that don't know me, my name is Awake. I'm not gonna say my real name, obviously, and I'll just say I'm from Florida. That's pretty much it. And yeah, that's pretty much my introduction.
Oh, well, that's great, man. For me, I don't know. I guess like for me my awakening journey probably started when I was about 10 and I was in church, and I just, from that point on, and when I started to spend more time on the internet, I just fell down rabbit holes, and like I ended up watching, I think one of the first channels was probably like the Vigilant Christian. After I read through
Mhm.
Revelation, it was like, wait a minute. And then I started looking on YouTube and I found the Vigilant Christian and all those people.
I never heard of him actually. Is he like a true to Christian or he just does Christian stuff?
Yeah, he was like a Christian truther. I don't really know what he's doing now, but he was a Christian truther who did like a lot of the Illuminati stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I did. I remember watching what's it called? The guy's kind of a flat earther. RB Truth. That was probably one of like the first people I really watched back when I wasn't really awake. I was just like kind of surfing through the internet with conspiracy stuff. I remember watching him back, and of course, back in time, I was still young, so I didn't really think nothing of it. It was cool to think about it, but it kind of seemed like just like BS to me. But then when I just kept looking into it and like just like some like what I understand about people is that you don't have to and go and see a bunch of truth videos. You can just go outside and just understand that the government is lying to you, that the world is not like how you see it. It's like some people can't even see that. It's kind of disturbing to me.
Yeah, that's what messes me up too. Is I don't understand how people can, and a lot of them know that everything that we see on TV is all owned by the same five corporations. And a lot of the people that aren't awake even now know, oh, free speech is in trouble on the internet, but they don't really know why. They don't think it's deeper than SJWs from what I understand with a lot of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that most people, the reason they're not awake and they can't critically think is because the whole false right and left paradigm, which either puts you on the left, which is either the ones that are always like, the liberals, or put you on the right, which are the conservatives. It's
Yeah,
like you can't get out of that hole you're in.
yeah, and it's definitely a deep hole because then you end up with, then you end up turning on your friends and neighbors, and that's, it's not the government that's the problem. It's the your idiot neighbor that voted for Biden or voted for Trump or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, going back a little bit to COVID, is like every single news. It's like doesn't matter when you turn on. It's like everything has to do with deaths or infection rates, or like there's never a good story now, and they just keep throwing that at you, so you can keep like your brain can keep receiving it and receiving it. So instead of actually having a good time with your friends and not worrying about it, you're afraid to even see your own family members, which I was very thankful in Thanksgiving because I actually got to see a lot of my family members, which was very strange to say the least, especially because most of them were even from the US. They were from like other my my home, country of Ecuador. So it's like it is strange to see that, and it is lovely to see it at the same time. People actually not caring, you know.
Yeah, I just wish that like my grandparents, for instance, on my dad's side, my grandparents are in their 80s, and my grandmother has lung cancer, and she hasn't left the house really since March. I think my grandfather just told me she went to like a store for the first time probably a couple weeks ago, and I just, she's terminal, so I'm just angry thinking about the fact that she's going to spend the rest of her life probably sitting in a house, and they don't know what's going on. Like, I've been trying to plant seeds with them so that they wake up and they realize that they have the right to enjoy their life, but it's just tough.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's a tough like situation, especially if like most people that have like grandparents or just parents in general that are really old and are in the homes and stuff, like especially during this whole quarantine, this whole basically it's a social experiment on the people. It's like you can't even see let's say your grandma is about to die at a nursing home, and they can't even let you in. They can't even what? The only thing they're gonna let you do is FaceTimer. Like, what kind of goodbye is that? It just it just mentally messes your brain. Because knowing that you can't see someone that you love on their last moments is really disturbing.
Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine like how many, like, I know that one of our neighbors passed like right in the beginning of this, and is like he really didn't have much of a normal funeral. So like I can't imagine people that are losing people that are really close to them. They can't see them for their last hours. They can't have a funeral. Like, they probably can't even cover their healthcare costs right now because none of them have jobs and they're barely keeping themselves alive.
Yeah,
Yet we're the people with no empathy, right?
yeah. And it is funny, like all the stuff going on. Like, who would have thought that? Like, let's say in January, you were just sitting in your bed, like probably listening to music or playing a game if you do, or watching TV, or just spending time with your family and friends, knowing that this virus was going to completely change like the fabric of life. It's like it just astonished me how like now we literally have to be outside wearing masks and like staying away from people. You know?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, even like at the end of last year, I would have never thought, hey, in 2020, nobody's gonna even be able to have human interaction anymore. It's gonna be labeled dangerous, and if you hug your grandmother, you're a super spreader, and she's probably gonna die, and it's gonna be your fault.
Yeah, and that's what they like to use. They like to use super spreader and they always like to blame the person. They always like to say, "Oh, if you go out to a bar and have a little drink with your friend, you're basically killing everyone inside the bar." You know?
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Like the thing, the fact that they use your grandmother or your vulnerable, like sick family member or whatever is in and of itself super insulting, considering the fact that this was engineered, this whole crisis was engineered to get rid of them first. What do you think
Hmm.
happens to somebody when they already have a compromised immune system and they're locked away from their family, or they're already 90 years old and the thing that was keeping them alive was being able to see their grandkids once a month or something like that? What do you think happens when you take that away from them?
Yeah, they don't have nothing after that. You know, they feel like, and the thing is that the COVID could not be the one that kills them. It's just the stress and the sadness that they face, knowing that they can't even see their family members. You know?
Yeah, I saw a video on Twitter that just it made me boil inside. It was this woman, she's like sitting in a wheelchair by the window, and I guess the person from that was filming it was on the other side of the glass and telling her like, "I'm sorry, I can't come in and see you. I'm sorry." And this old lady is just crying. You could see the absolute fear and just desperation in her face. And this guy's just trying to comfort his his grandmother, and you just want to be like, no, get in there and demand to see your grandmother. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like I said, because both my grandparents, sadly, they passed away. But if they lived here in this situation, I would probably get arrested because I would probably be sent to jail, trying to try to get in there and fight to see them, because it's like it is ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, I'm just grateful that my grandparents, even though they're getting quite a bit older now, are still able to live in their own homes and they still have each other. But it still bugs me to see how afraid they are. And
Hmm.
you just can't get it through to them that, hey, listen, it's not the virus that you're supposed to be afraid of. You need to see your family.
Exactly, yeah. And whatever is coming, whatever you're going to call it, the new world order, because now the fancy thing to say is the great reset. The new world order is not even used anymore. It's being really disguised as the great reset, you know?
Yeah, and did you see like, I think it was the New York Times and a bunch of these other rags were talking about, oh, the Great Reset conspiracy is embarrassing. How can people think that this is some big conspiratorial thing? It's like, I don't know. It's not like the World Economic Forum that's been posting about the Great Reset was also the people who talked about how you'd own nothing in 2030
Hmm.
back in 2016, right? That would just be crazy.
Yeah, one other thing that kind of like unnerves me. Well, it can't even unnerve me, because knowing how sheep are, how normal the normal populace is, we already know how they are. But like back in October, which was before even hit China, started hitting China, there was like the whole Event 201 thing that happened, and it basically like what, over like 90 million people were infected. You know, it's like, is that what's gonna happen? Is that what they're gonna try to reach for now?
Yeah, I guess so. That's another thing that's been like unnerving me quite a bit with the sheep, because I tend to go into a lot of different places that I know are full of them and try to point out the stuff like the pre-planning and everything, like the Event 201 and the articles from 2016 about how you own nothing, and all these people are like, well, that's just pandemic preparedness. Nobody knew this was going to happen. Or, oh, that World Economic Forum thing was just rhetorical. They're not endorsing it, they're just talking about it.
Yeah, it's like it's right in front of your face, but they always choose to ignore it or choose to make an excuse for it. You know?
Yeah, it hurts my brain. It just hurts.
It does, and like because there's an experience today with the whole mask thing, where not even the mask thing, just like the whole gathering thing. We were at a party at one of my family members' party, birthday party, and we were just sitting there as a family, eating, drinking, having fun. The little baby was running across and like having fun too. It's like, and then this lady comes up to us, a security guard, and it's like, oh yeah, my boss said that there's too many people sitting here, and we were like, why? How does he know that? Oh, because we caught it in the security cameras. It's like, and she kept coming around like every single like what, every like 10 minutes to talk to us, to the point where we just start eating really fast, and it got ruined. Imagine ruining someone's birthday, over some virus that's what 99% survival rate. It's like, and I do feel bad for like those people that try to enforce that because they don't know better. They're just following the law. They don't want to lose their job.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting that I found the other day, or it's like kind of common sense. But do you remember like back a few months ago how they were releasing a bunch of scientific studies where they were saying that people that don't want to comply with the rules are more likely to be psychopathic?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, they're like sociopaths, or like they're just like bad people, in general.
Yeah, and then there was a study that I saw posted somewhere. I don't remember where, but it was like actually said that following orders was the thing that reduced empathy. Like following orders dulls empathy.
Wow, that is like, that's what they do to try to put that in your head, so you can just be a little sheep, a little servant to like the new world order. What they want you to be, because the line. That's why they take down so many YouTube channels and even silence even doctors, even like certified doctors. They try to shut down. That's when you know that it's bullshit.
Yeah, and there could be something going on, but then again, it's also flu season.
Yep.
And did you see where they posted that the flu cases are down, what, 90 something percent now? Because they're all getting labeled with the beer.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, yeah. Nobody dies from anything else. Oh yeah, AIDS. What's that? Whatever. Any disease that's out there is now COVID. It's like nobody dies from anything else but COVID.
Yeah, did you know that getting into a car accident is also a symptom of COVID now?
Yeah. So
That's how you
that's,
die.
yeah. You jump off a plane. You forget a parachute. You hit the ground. You're dead. Oh, how did this guy die? Oh, he died. He fell from a plane. He didn't open his parachute. Actually, let's just mark him down as COVID. You know, it's kind of dumb to think like that, but that's how it is. You know.
Yep. It is like the way that they think about things is dumb. And it's like something I mentioned to you before is like, how do these people even define living? Like, is living to them just ensuring biological existence? Because I think there's a big difference between living and surviving.
Hmm.
Surviving is when you ensure your biological existence. Living is going out and enjoying your life.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand the logic of people who are literally so afraid of death that they lose their life over it.
Yeah. They really lose their life. They really die, and that's what they're afraid of. It's like, they don't think about it.
Yeah, I've really had some trouble understanding because I'm the type of guy that will try to figure out where people are coming from with things, and I literally can't wrap my head around that logic at all.
Yeah, me either. And it's like this whole thing is not just like, if you can say, what I believe, it's not just about a virus. It's just about just completely like turning our world around, making it new, bringing in what, the one world currency, bringing in basically what they have in China, which is basically where they track you, like what's the name of it again?
The social credit score.
The social credit score, exactly. Oh, if you talk bad about the government, we're gonna deduct points from you, and you can't buy this, and you can't go, you can't buy your groceries because you talk crap about the government. It's like, and that's coming. That's being revealed right now, and it's like you can't even travel anywhere. You can't soon enough. You can't even go to school or go to work without having either a test. I did hear someone that I talked to that apparently everyone that works at the job that she at the place that she went to has to have a certified COVID test before actually working there. If not, they could get fired. You know?
Yeah, let me guess. PCR test. The PCR pandemic.
Yeah, the PCR test that should be it. Yeah, and they should. And what? In probably like a year, less than a year or so, they'll probably give you little wristbands, or like a little paper that shows, oh look, I'm being tested, I'm being vaccinated.
Show me your papers.
Yep, that's how it is. It's basically like communism. It's like
Well, it is. It is communism under. It's medical communism. It's to keep you morally safer.
yeah, morally safer, medical tyranny.
Yeah, did you ever see that Fox News clip where even Tucker Carlson was saying what COVID was really about? Because if not, I have it and I'll show it.
I mean, you can show it if you want, if you're able to stream it.
Yeah, I should be able to. There's a thing I can share my screen, I think.
Yeah, there should be a share screen button. Try to share it if it's possible.
Yeah, so it should be. I'll just do the entire screen so that I can allow that. And here's this Fox News clip for anybody who doesn't think even the mainstream media is outright telling you. Tucker Carlson was actually spitting some truth right before he cucked himself after the election.
Yeah, he was. Our leaders' life will never go back to normal.
Yep. You can hear it, right?
I can hear it very low, actually.
We will not. We cannot go back to the way things were. That's a direct quote from the leader of the World Health
Better?
Organization, Dr.
Better.
By the way, is not really a doctor. Because COVID-19 is not a public health crisis, really, or even a mere virus. According to Tedros, COVID-19 is, in fact, this may surprise you, COVID-19 is really about global warming. As he puts it, quote, the COVID-19 pandemic has given new impetus to the need to accelerate efforts to respond to climate change. Bet you didn't see that coming. Bill Gates did. He agrees with it wholeheartedly. Earlier this month, Gates posted an essay to his personal website, which you probably haven't seen, arguing the lesson of the corona pandemic is that the rest of us will have to sacrifice even more to save the Earth from warming. Now, for people who are not billionaire global influencers, this is all pretty confusing. Quick, what does the coronavirus have to do with climate change? Well, for one thing, China caused both of them. That's the obvious link. But that is definitely not the point Dr. Tedros and Bill Gates are making. Both of them bow before China. They would never meaningfully.
Of course, he has to say China.
Yeah, they always have to blame it on China. That's
Yep.
that's really what the right always does.
Yeah. The Chinese virus.
Yeah, everything is Chinese. They don't blame it on
Yep.
themselves because they never will, of course.
But yeah, so he goes on to say that basically the reason that this works is because these are unsolvable crises. Like how I've had to argue with these sheeple, it's like, these numbers are never going to go down to zero, right? And if your whole reason for thinking that we need to lock down is because we need to get rid of the virus, we're not getting rid of the virus. Once a virus is introduced into an ecosystem, it stays.
Exactly. Yeah, it stays. It's there forever, and each year it's gonna keep coming back and back. So that means each year there's gonna be more masks, more social distancing, and it's basically gonna be the new normal. Just the new big virus, apart from, of course, the regular flu.
Yeah, but it's not the flu awake. It's not the flu. And you need to get your vaccine, and the government needs to know exactly where you are. And wait a minute, are you using a gas-powered car, by the way? That's a no-no.
Yeah, you can't use gas-powered car. Just use your beautiful Tesla from Elon Musk.
Yeah, just drive your stupid hybrid that only can go like 20 miles an hour. See how that goes on a highway, buddy.
Yeah, you'll probably won't make it until you crash into somebody.
Yeah, I ordered some food recently, and this guy showed up in a hybrid that was like, and it was one of those hybrids, like, you know how people, and it was always a joke that people got hybrids for like bragging rights.
Mhm.
It made itself very clear that it was a hybrid, and I'm like, I guess we know who's in line first for the Soylent Green. As long as it's chocolate flavored, he'll drink it.
Yeah. And like going back to the Bill Gates, you notice how every single time he talks, he always smiles or has that creepy grin on his face, you know?
Yeah, and that's not only is it duping delight, but it's very characteristic of a psychopath. Like, you remember looking back, there was like a news clip. I don't remember what channel it was, but he was talking about how bad the pandemic is gonna mess up the whole economy and how we're all screwed. And he's just sitting there laughing like it's the funniest thing in the world.
I remember, I think it was a few, like, it was in the beginning of the pandemic. I think he went on Live with Colbert, if you know who that is. Literally,
Oh
like,
yeah,
making fun of the conspiracy theories about him, you know?
yeah, of course. Because like if you make it sound funny, the sheeple are gonna go, "That's dumb. That's dumb. A government would use a virus to take away your rights and never give them back. That's dumb."
Yeah, I mean, of course, they think it's dumb. If they go on Comedy Central and watch all those stupid shows like Tosh.0, of course, you know, people are just filled with a bunch of like garbage TV. That instead of helping them, instead of making them critically think, it just makes them dumb. You know?
Yeah, I was watching. I think like right at the beginning of this pandemic, I found a Bill Gates TED talk where he was talking about how we were woefully unprepared for this next pandemic that was inevitably coming within the next few years. This was from 2015, and you had a bunch of these sheeple in the comments like, "Hey, I guess Bill Gates is Nostradamus. He's so smart."
Yeah. But the thing he was doing, he wasn't predicting anything. He was just saying what he was gonna do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one question: what do you think? Moving on from COVID for a bit, what do you think of the whole like how we're going into the technocracy era and the whole like fourth industrial revolution, where basically we're gonna be replaced by machines, you know?
Yeah, not only are we going to be replaced by machines, but we're going to basically be slaves. Like, I think that it's going to be more than just being replaced by machines. I think we're going to end up living in a straight up matrix. Like, they're going to, you're going to be laying in a pod, living in a virtual world because this world's screwed, obviously. That is if, like, the end times, if the whole rapture thing don't happen somehow, we're going to end up I read somewhere. I heard this somewhere. They're literally talking about how they're gonna have us all hooked up to stuff and be monitoring our body fluids and brain waves and all these different things, and we're just gonna be living in a matrix, basically.
Yeah, it's I heard about that too. Yeah, they already planned everything ahead of time.
Yeah, that movie from the '90s was definitely a coincidence, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah, it was just a coincidence. Yeah. Have you seen actually the new Songbird movie? It just literally like it's funny how they just put everything in movies. You know, any movie that comes out, Songbird. If it's either about a virus, it's either about like technocracy. It's either about like even going back to Terminator. It's like, is that our future? You know?
Yeah, I haven't watched the Songbird movie because honestly, like I have to limit how much of their programming that I take in. Like I keep up with it obviously so I can like wake people up, but I can take it in very small doses.
Yeah, it did unnerve me. Yeah, those movies do unnerve me because they're like so in your face, and then it's like, oh, when the movie is like COVID-23 has, you know, and you see people coming in, SWATs coming into like the military and SWATs coming into people's houses and dragging them out and like, you know, It's like in the whole movie is basically Romeo and Juliet, but virtual Romeo and Juliet, because obviously, if they even see each other, just if a person sees each other, just they just die apparently because the virus is that powerful.
That's disturbing.
It is, yeah, and it is a disturbing movie. But like going back to the whole like technocracy thing though for industrial revolution, what I do think is that they are gonna not when I mean replace us, I mean it's like they're just gonna change the fabric of who we are as humans. So, like we're gonna be interacting not just with computers and like normal technology. It's gonna be like what? There's gonna be like drones flying in the air. There's gonna be like robots in the street checking your temperature probably. There's gonna be like face scans in every single grocery store you walk into. You know?
Yeah. You know what? I just had a thought because right now we all think that we own our technology, but if you look at like how people interact with their phones and the way that they get sucked into it. Like I think I told this story before where I used to go out when I used to go out in public more. I would go out and like people watch. So I would go like find a bench or somewhere to like park next to and watch people, and 90% of the time they're sitting on their phone. Like you'll see two friends like sitting in front of each other and they're both staring at their phone.
Yeah.
So in reality, the technology already basically owns most people, but
Mhm.
now they're just stripping away the illusion of, hey, this machine, you control this machine. Now they're just outright telling you, hey, look, the drone in the sky that's going to detect whether or not you're 5 kilometers from your house. Hey, that technology actually owns you now. Have fun with that.
Yeah. It is true. Yeah. It's like going to the whole mark of the beast for the my Christian listeners. If whatever it is, if it's the vaccine, if it's the pass, if it's actually a inserted chip that gets inserted into your body, whatever it is, it's like most people like us obviously are not going to accept it, but probably an everyday Joe be like, "Oh, that's so cool, man! I get to have a chip inside me. Oh man, I'm saving people by just taking the vaccine."
Yeah, they're saving their grannies.
Yeah, they're saving their grannies. And for the chip thing, it's like, what? You're gonna be like kids are gonna go into school. It's like, oh, you don't have the chip. Oh, you're a loser. It's gonna be like to the point where it's like you're a complete outcast if you don't follow what the government is telling you to do.
Yeah, I remember. I was one of the last kids in my school to get a smartphone. I might have been probably the last kid to get a smartphone, which I'm grateful for now. But it's like, oh well, how do you not have a smartphone? Like, don't you do that? Like, how do you do this or how do you do that? We were like our assignments, like our group work in class, would be pull out your phone, and I'd have to raise my hand, like, I don't have a phone.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a flip phone. I don't know what you want me to do. And they'd be like, all right, fine. Go line up at the computer.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's like whatever's going on. It's like you really shouldn't be afraid what's coming, but deeply inside, you really are worried, not just for yourself, but for your friends and families and people that you care about, people that are not awake. You know?
Yeah, because I do care about the people that are not awake. Like, especially, like, it breaks my heart to know that most of the people that I care about the most right now have no idea what's going on. Like, I'm trying to plant seeds with them, but it's like you can't. You can almost. It almost feels like sometimes like I'm getting through to somebody, and then they'll like watch something on the news, or like somebody they know will test positive for the beer, and then they'll be like, "Oh no, it's deadly. See, it's deadly."
Yeah, It's like that's what they do. Like, there's a story once that someone told me that one person in the whole town got COVID, and basically the whole town went on lockdown. Stuff like that is like, it's like what one random guy got sick, and now just because that random guy, the whole town went on lockdown. I'm not sure if that's a true story, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, it could be. It could be like it could be a tale. But you never know with living in the new world order just how ridiculous things are. I know in my area, in my state, they're kind of like Mr. Ed, our governor here, is talking about, oh well, lockdown again is not off the table, but of course it's a last resort. Like I've been looking at our propaganda outlets here, and you can see like they're dangling it in front of your face, like, oh, there might be another lockdown. It's the last resort though. So no, wait, lockdown's not off the table. Like,
Hmm.
if you look at that, and you tell me that this is not like some kind of perverse delight that they're getting from this, and this is not some way they're toying with us and enjoying it, then you are just, I'm sorry. I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah. And about the lockdowns, actually, Florida is where I live. The governor did actually stop the lockdowns back in like probably like it was a month ago. Yeah, a month and a half ago. He did. He lifted all restrictions and stopped the lockdowns. So right now you can just go to a store. Obviously, you still have to social distance. You still have to wear a mask. But the good thing is that most stores are open now. Almost every store is open, and that's what I like about Florida here. They're very like right now. It seems to be. It depends if they actually do another lockdown, but it's very very like mild down here, which I really enjoy. Because you don't have to worry about like not able to go to this store you really need to go because oh no, it's locked down. And that just affects like it completely like destroys the small businesses.
Yeah, I live in I'll share my state because I'm sure I'll be talking about it more. I live in New Jersey. New Jersey is a blue state, and it's terrible up here.
Yeah, I got any interesting stories of people or like anything?
Well, I just want to ask you a question. What's dumber to you? Somebody wearing like one of those big space helmets, which I actually did see in one of my grocery stores, or the person that walks around with the American flag masks? Because I see a whole bunch of those.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid. It kind of contradicts what they're trying to do. It's like I think to be dumber, I think is wearing a space helmet. It's like you can imagine seeing a random person walking with a space helmet. It means like, oh, that guy's an idiot.
Yeah, I I always say like, hey, if I have to wear the space helmet, can I at least get off this planet? Because I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, and like it's some people actually just do it to like they may not know it's all like fake or like I shouldn't say fake because there is something out there. It's all like it's all now what people say, what they say, the government says obviously. But some people just do it for fun. They can just put on a whole hazmat suit on or like a scuba diving, whatever. But some actual people put on the weirdest things. Like I remember with me and my mom laughing because there's this lady with goggles and a face mask and gloves, and it's like it's funny.
Yeah, it's really out of hand. I don't know whether or not some of these people are like satirizing. Sometimes I see people wearing like these really stupid get ups and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
please, please, please be making fun of this.
yeah. Because if they're not, then there's seriously something wrong with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know with this whole thing though. Like I feel like there probably is something out there. Like I don't outright call anything fake cuz I
Hey,
you know,
yeah,
you never know. You never know. They probably are releasing it or maybe some people are getting like maybe it's effects of 5G that they're masking or like I you don't know.
yeah. And like about the 5G, you remember in the beginning where they were just throwing out the whole 5G, saying that 5G was COVID, and that got completely shut down. No one really talked about that after that first like few months of COVID.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether that was an op or something else. I also did notice that, like, right before, I don't know if you remember this, but right before the COVID hit here, it was like they were trying to get the conspiracy theorists into the whole the doomer narrative.
Hmm.
Like, you know how, like, I used to watch Mr. Medicare, the streamer that used to be on YouTube, and he was one of the, I watched him closely simply because of his doomer narrative, because I started to realize, because at first, the first couple streams of his that I watched about COVID, I was like, oh my god, this is bad, this is gonna go. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, wait a minute, this is obviously somebody who's been put here to do this, and it worked for a lot of the people in our camp for, I would say, at least a good month from what I was noticing, because I know a lot of people in our camp kind of watch his stuff too,
Hmm.
because we tend to overlap with some of the conservative people, and he's conservative.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually never seen that guy. Is he like a truther only channel, or is he like a Christian truther, just a truther in general?
No, he's just kind of he just kind of makes fun of things on the internet. So that's the reason that I watch him. I only really started watching him a few years ago, but I just like the fact that he made fun of the absurdity. But I guess I could see how somebody like him could be used to push like certain agendas and doomer content, because that's
Yeah.
kind of been his thing. And I started to notice that, like, after the whole COVID thing hit, I started to kind of notice, like, hey, wait, a lot of his videos are kind of doomerish. Like, he did one on the internet and how the internet was going to die because of all the corporate sanitation, and there's nothing you could do about it, basically.
Yeah, and that's it's like I said, for right now, from this channel, I don't know when this channel is going to be taken down. It's like it could be any day, it could be tomorrow, it could be next month, it could be next year. It's like I'm really like surprised that it's been a month and my videos are still up.
Yeah. I'm surprised people like Jeff Censored stay up, too.
Yeah, that just kind of makes you think, like, it's kind of weird that the purge is happening, but channels like that still stay up for years.
Yeah, I would wonder, and this is no offense to him, because I do like
Yeah,
his content, but I would
exactly.
wonder if it's just because he's kind of in the more doomer camp
Hmm.
right now. Because if you've noticed, like, a lot of him and like some of the other truther channels that used to get taken down that I watch are like really kind of feeling very doom and gloom, which I don't blame them for, but they probably just want people that are feeling hopeless to be up there a little bit more now than they used to want that.
Hmm. And the main channels that really get taken down is mostly like the Q stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if the Q stuff. I wonder if right now they're doing all that so that they can get to us more, because they do lump us in with Q.
Yeah, they do. They do. That's what they do. Like, it's like every person that goes against the narrative. It's always Q. That's what the media puts him as. Most of the time Q, or they just call him conspiracy theories. But like you said, yeah, it is true. Everything gets lumped in with Q, and we're not like that. We don't believe that um, Trump is here to save us and to fight against the elites, like, and drain the swamps and like stop the pedophiles and put them in jail. We know that's not going to happen. We know those people, no matter how much all the garbage and all those disturbing things they do, they're still going to be in power.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the hero thing is something that's been kind of like, bouncing around in my head a little bit. Like, I've been wanting to put something up on this, that like we've been programmed to believe that there's some hero that's gonna come. Like, I'm not sure if we're living in the end times or not, but I would think that maybe they're setting it up. Like, they have your Superman in your comics, and then they have, oh, Trump's going to save us, Trump's going to drain the swamp. And then they have, your beast system, and you accept the beast because you're like, the beast is going to save us all from the really horrible New World Order that came up.
Hmm. And this whole like election thing is just like everything that's going on in politics with Trump, the Q thing. Q is just like a psyop. It's just a thing to keep people in that thing, to keep away from what's really going on with the virus. It's
Yeah.
like It's like instead of worrying about the virus and what they're planning to, they just worry about what Trump is doing and what he's trying to do and what's his next step and voter fraud and all that stuff. You know?
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this when Trump got in, but I certainly did. Did you feel the shift in the community?
Oh yeah, there was a big shift. You could see people like yelling in the streets and like those pink-haired SJWs like crying and like there's so much memes that came out from that. It's kind of funny, but yeah, there was a certain shift. You could see it. You could see it, and it's like this man came in and it's like completely like shifted everything. People started hating each other more than they even did before.
Yeah, he basically finished what Obama started, because Obama was like the big like thing that really brought the racial division to like the height at that time. Like, because there were articles coming out at the time when Obama was in office, and I remember this racial division is almost as high now as it was in the 50s and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then now you have Trump here. Now you have Trump, and you just look at it, and it's all gone. Like, you thought it was bad under Obama, but now it's like it went from 100 to 1,000. The freaking lever broke.
hmm And look, I'm not saying Trump is good, but obviously anyone, well, not anyone, because some people would obviously prefer Biden, but I would prefer Trump to be in office than Biden. I know it sounds bad, but knowing Biden, even though they're all the same, Biden is a little bit worse.
Yeah, it's the lesser of two evil things, and like I think pretty much the same thing would have happened anyway. I feel like Biden is just to reveal it to you, like make it obvious. Like, in 2016, it was like, yeah, they were saying Trump was saying voter fraud, but then he won, and now in 2020, they're just really outright with the voter fraud. They're just like, yeah, people from the 1800s are voting, but that's just fine. Biden still won. Biden
hmm
still won.
Yeah. And it's like going back to the Biden thing, it's like you can see like all the stuff he does, like when he inappropriately sniffs little girls' hair and just gets really close to them and touches them inappropriately. Like, does no one remember that when they voted for him?
Yeah, I don't know. But even that is kind of a good example of the left-right paradigm, because that's one of the things that the Trump voters, and rightfully so, were slamming Biden for. But then what you don't hear anybody talking about is how many inappropriate comments that Trump made about his daughter.
Oh yeah, the way he talks about his daughter it is disturbing. It's like just disgusting knowing that a father will talk about a daughter that way is like incestual. It's like what?
Yeah, it's like it should. You would think that would be something that would set those Pizzagate people off and all the like that kind of stuff. Which I'm not saying there aren't like pedophile rings. I'm saying that was like that was trying to make them look stupid. That whole thing with the Pizzagate,
hmm
like the way that they set that up with the emails and all that. But like you would think that all the people, like the QAnon people and everybody that's worried about like the pedophile rings and the like just the absolute disgusting stuff people at the top do, you would think that a Trump voter would hear that and be like, wait, no, wait, what the hell? That's
Yeah,
awful.
yeah. But it's like I said, it's like both sides. Like they completely ignore what Biden does, and they completely ignore what Trump does. The right completely ignores what Trump does, and the left completely ignores what Biden does. It's like they're clouded.
Yeah, it's crazy.
hmm It is. It truly is. It's like, what can we do? But we can't wake them up because they're either extreme leftist, or far right, or they're into Q. It's like they're gonna stay on that until themselves they wake up and stray away from that.
Yeah, I have a friend who is like really really left wing, and I try to tell her these things, like, cuz she really, I love her to death, but she buys into this whole like, oh, racial division thing and all these different things. She kind of buys into them, and I'm like, listen, it's not who you think it is. It's not your neighbor. It's not your white neighbor. It's not your Trump voting neighbor. It is not them. It is the people at the top that you need to worry about right now.
Hmm. Those are the ones that are really pushing this racial division, you know? And then, of course, they blame it on everyday people, you know? It's like, and yeah, I'm not saying that there's no racists out there. There is racist people out there. Yeah, there is. I'm not saying that oppression is not a problem, but there is. But the way the media puts it, it's just like it overblows it completely.
Yeah, there definitely still is, like, there definitely still are issues. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying they're using all these groups of people to say, to, like, they're using them as battering rams. It's like what I always say about the disabled community, because I'm disabled myself, and I see how we do have legitimate issues. But then you go on the sites for all the, like, activist groups that are really well funded, and it's all communism and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's for every minority. I've noticed that.
Yeah, it's for every minority. That's what they use to, like, you know, that's what they use. Like, it's communism. And I do feel for you, Wheels. It's like people like you do have to suffer through a lot of crappy ass people, and like just the system just crapping on you, treating you as like a second class citizen, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But, like, I try not to let that stuff get to me, because I'm like, then if I try just not to be bitter. That's the thing, because I know that if I become bitter about things, then I'm letting them win, and I'm going to become part of their agenda. The answer is not to become bitter. The answer is to say, hey, how do we empower ourselves instead of pulling everybody else down?
Yeah, yeah. But they don't want us to do that. There's like a it relates back to your thing. There's like a thing where I remember Jeff Sensor went on it and burned a bit. I forgot what it was, but they're like, I don't know if you remember, but I'm just gonna drop that point because I completely forgot. But they're saying that your weaknesses are literally your strengths, something like that.
Vulnerability is strength.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like no. It's like really. Why are they putting that out there? You know, you're supposed to overcome your vulnerabilities. You're supposed to overcome it, not make it your life. You know.
Yeah, it's like the same thing where I think on one of the Patreon shows, I was getting, like, kind of aggravated because I was telling Jeff about how with disabled people, it's just like how they put this whole premise of, well, they're going to be in a disadvantage under our system. I'm like, yeah, words mean things. Vulnerability is not strength. A disability is a disadvantage. Why is it hard for you to understand language?
Yeah. And that's how they're trying to shape us. They're just trying to make us this weak-minded people that can just get stepped on by anyone. And because if we're weak and we're vulnerable, you know, it's like that's how they get us.
Exactly. And they want people to identify with those vulnerabilities. They want you to put your I have this diagnosis and this problem and I'm this and I'm that in your friggin' Twitter or Tumblr bio, and I'm like, okay. Why are you putting that out there? Like, especially on the internet, if you put that kind of stuff out there, like if you put out, like, I don't know, say you have schizophrenia and you're just proudly displaying that on your thing. Do you think that that's going to go well for you?
No, people will never hire someone like that, and it's a sad truth. And put that out there, you're not going to get hired at the job, and people are going to look down on you because some people are just like they have no compassion, you know.
Yeah, it's not fair. Like, it's not fair that somebody with problems gets looked down on and stuff, but that's just how it is. So you can't make your life about, look, I have these problems and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show people that you're willing to work to overcome them. Like, it took me a long time to be able to get, like, to start working and to have certain things. Like, I literally just got my license now,
Mhm.
and that took me a long time, but it was because I didn't just say, "Oh, well, it's not going to be fair to me and things are going to suck, so I'm just going to, just shut up and take the bus for the rest of my life." I didn't do that because I wanted to say, "Hey, my disability does not have to define my entire life. If I want something, I'm going to work for it."
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it shouldn't define your entire life, and that's going back to the problem. That's with the whole like racial thing. It's like, or like the whole LGBTQ thing. It's like they identify as that. That's what their identity is. It's like that shouldn't be your identity at all. It's like, what if you're gay? Doesn't matter if you're gay or transgender or black or white or Hispanic or Chinese or whatever. It's like doesn't matter if any of those. You're a human. We're all humans. But just it's just like having that identity is what completely like shifts everything.
Yeah, it can the one identity if because we live in a culture where being a victim is valued. If you're a victim, you're a hero. You go on the mainstream media and you get to talk about how much of a victim you are, and you have like all these people that are willing to rally around you and be like, "Oh, poor you," and stuff like that. Victimhood is a currency. So like when you have like one identity where you might have actually like suffered some victimhood because of that, it consumes you.
It does, yeah. And it's like you try to wake those people up and just tell them, look, that's not everything you are. You're more than that. But no, they keep on that mindset, and that's how they get depressed. That's why they're out there rioting. That's why they're like not only because of the media provokes them, but it's like they fight for something. They keep fighting for something that's never gonna be resolved. It's just an illusion. It's like whatever you're fighting for is not gonna be resolved.
Yeah, that's why I go when I go and get into slap fights with activists, as you know I often do. I ask them, "What do you want? What do you actually want?"
Hmm.
And like, because you hear words like equality, and it's like equality can mean two very opposite things. It can be equality of opportunity, or it can be equality of outcome. And
Hmm.
both of those things, even though they're technically equality, are complete opposites by nature.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and yeah, yeah. Is there a video you want to share about like the whole COVID situation? If we want to move more into COVID, do you have like because there's one that's actually article that I'm not gonna be pulling up right now, but I'm gonna be kind of quoting that just came out today, which China apparently since the lockdowns, the suicides have gone up in China.
Oh yeah, you can definitely share that if even if you just want to read off of it or whatever. That's important to like actually point out, especially because somebody who might not be awake might stumble upon this somehow by God's miracle. And
Hmm.
they might be looking at us right now and thinking, "Why are these two guys talking about how, why are these guys not seeming to care about all these people that are dying of the virus?" Well, why are you guys not caring about how many people are having preventable deaths from the medical shutdown? Like there were people that were denied their cancer treatment because of medical shutdown. There were people that couldn't access mental health services when they needed them. Like, and there are people that lost their whole livelihood. So I think it's important that we do talk about the people that are dying, like the deaths of despair.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that. We don't. Some people don't even acknowledge this. It's like acknowledge it at all. It's sad. And yeah, a lot of in China especially, there's really a lot of suicides, and especially China and Japan. There's suicides almost every single year, and you can see it is from like the government itself and how they get treated.
Yeah, and it's funny to me because, like, right when the pandemic was starting, I would say maybe December or January when you started hearing about them in in the media. "Oh, look at China, look at these dead bodies that are dropping everywhere and stuff." All of a sudden you saw that video where they were where the Chinese people were protesting the lockdown, and then you didn't see it anymore.
Yeah, Yeah, I saw that too. I remember it was like that's one thing. Even though I kind of knew in the beginning that it was kind of planned out, and I knew in the beginning I didn't know. I was really scared. I was like the person that would like just I would just go to the bank and have just like gloves on to pick up the money and a mask on because in the beginning like even though I knew it was planned, I knew it was a plan. It was a planned virus, obviously, but I didn't know how bullcrap it was. And it's like, yeah, seeing those videos is what really scared me. I was like, damn, this virus that the government put out is really, really scary and killing people. And then to find out that those videos are probably just what movie sets, whatever you want to call them, they're just fake, just to like
Actors don't exist though. They don't.
oh
Those
yeah,
actors don't exist.
oh
Remember.
yeah, those actors are fake.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying because I was in the exact same boat. Like I knew that it was planned, but I'm like, I remember watching those videos and being like, "Oh my god, I gotta stack up for food. This is how they're gonna bring in their." Because I knew I didn't know it was called Dark Winter, but I knew that like there had been theories floating around like for years and years how they were going to cut the power grid and they were going to do this and they were going to do that, and I'm like, great, so we're going to get like a Walking Dead type scenario where there's bodies all over the street and all this stuff. That's let me just tell all my family to like stock up on food and everything. And then I was like, and then I started looking into it and I was like, oh my god, i I fell for that side of the op because, like I said, the beginning of this COVID thing was appealing to conspiracy theorists. They wanted you to believe, oh, look, this Chinese government like released this virus and you should be afraid of it and you should lock up your family, hide your kids, be afraid, be afraid.
Mhm.
Because they hit us with that first.
Yeah, that's what they did, and that's why they put up all those videos of people falling over in subways in China and just dying in the streets. And there's this video, I think it was in England, if I'm not mistaken, or in Paris, yeah, where this lady was like filming from her phone, and you could see like thousands, not thousands, that's an exaggeration. It's like at least like 20 military trucks with bodies, on the back. It's like, was that a real video? Because I haven't seen that anywhere. It just happened in the beginning, and then after that, there's no videos, there's no news about bodies being stacked up on back of military trucks.
Oh well now that's what they're saying. Now they're saying, oh look, these freezer trucks,
Yeah.
they're having to be for the vaccine, and then they're emptying the vaccine out, and they're like making them into mobile morgues, and I'm like, people are believing this. Why? Like, if I've walked into the hospital, I've walked into my local hospital like several times for med appointments since this whole thing began, and it's completely empty in there.
Yeah.
And I literally went to go down the hallway because we had to use a different entrance because of COVID for some reason. I went to walk down the hallway and some lady with a mask chased me. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, chill, dude. I'm just trying to go to where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like they knew, it's like they almost knew because I was literally going to film the inside of that hospital that day, and then that lady like started chasing me down. I'm like, ah, fuck, I'm not. There's no way I'm gonna do that and not get caught. So, like, it's almost like they were on high alert because maybe people were coming in and filming and realizing that there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, that happened to me too. It's like similar story. It wasn't really nobody chased me, but when me and my dad were getting into that stuff, we were like go to a hospital like once. Like in the beginning, like it was in April. We were going to the lower part of Miami, where it's mostly like which is I'll tell you a funny story, which this will make you laugh. But in Miami-Dade, where it's not where I live, it's probably like 20 minutes away from me. But in Miami-Dade, before I go back to the hospital story, there was the mandate was that you had to wear your mask while you were walking outside in the sun. Imagine that. Walking outside in the sun in Florida heat wearing a mask. You know?
Yeah, and I can't imagine how bad that was down there because I'm sure it gets hotter down there than it does up here. But we had the same thing. Like our governor was mandating that we had to wear masks and stuff, and we didn't even have indoor. We were the last state to get indoor dining.
Mm. Yeah. Well, oh, I didn't know that because here, like I said before, like 2 months, a month and a half ago, they just like lifted the restrictions, and now you can just go to a random diner and eat. Of course, sitting down with your mask. And the thing that doesn't make sense is that you take your mask off when you want to go eat, but you have to wear it before, like from the door to the chair where you sit at. It's like,
It's not about logic though. It's about how much can you get them to comply with. Like that's what I'm convinced of. Cause did you know that the coronavirus is the boogeyman?
mhm,
And in certain places, if you happen to be at a bar a little bit past 10, you're going to get the virus. You're going to get more beer than you really wanted. Because you're going
yeah,
to get the beer and the beer virus. Because COVID knows how many people are in a room. It can count. That government bioweapon can count. It knows, oh, there's only supposed to be 50 people in here. I see 51.
mhm.
Somebody's going to die.
And that's the thing. The thing they're doing now is like only 10 people at gatherings. It's like, but those 10 people can still get COVID, right? It's like really. If that's how it is, there should be no one gathering completely. It's like, why over 10? Is it that if I'm just with my 10 friends and my 11 friends joins, that means we all have COVID now?
Yeah, you're all gonna get your no. One of you guys is gonna get COVID because you were over 10, and that's COVID's punishment for you. COVID really wants you to listen to the governor.
Yeah, yeah. COVID is just like, he's like the governor is some like little pet that goes out there and makes the rules. But like going back to the whole hospital thing, um, like I said, me and my dad were going crazy over that stuff because we knew what was up, and we went to this hospital. And at first, there was no one there. There was like what, maybe 6 cars in the little area in the little parking lot, and the rest were just like workers because you could see the little sign that says hospital staff only, and the rest of them were just people. We went in there, and there was this old man with this little kid, and the little kid was running around, and this old man was just it was just like swiping through an iPad, and I was like, my dad is like, wait, where are all the COVID patients in the emergency room? It was like, I'm surprised they let us get through the door. I mean, this was very early on. Like I said, this was in April because, of course, after that they started putting restrictions and putting guards and like police at the door. But like, I literally came in there and I saw literally an old man with a little kid. That's it. No one else was there waiting in the emergency room.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And I've seen like a lot of videos like that circulating around, where people were running into hospitals like, where are the sick people? Where are the sick people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And there's like no sick people there, and it's like, I think it was the funny thing. What they do, they put in the news of the supposed victims in the hospital. I think Jeff did this one video before that I commented on. A lot of people like my comment, but I'm not talking about that. But yeah, Jeff put up a video of a dummy being worked on, which is probably one of the funniest things I ever seen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And even like the one thing that's given me a little bit of hope now is I'm noticing that like on more of these videos you do have more people calling it out, and then like sometimes I'm even happy when I see videos with disabled comments because I'm like, I think I know why.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Regarding one of the questions from the comments, this person was saying that she says she's convinced that COVID is an IQ test.
It probably is. COVID-19 means you have an IQ of 19 if you really believe this whole story.
Yeah, no IQ of 19. Yeah, that's like the lowest of the low.
Why do you think they came up with all these ridiculous? Because it wasn't just one story that came out of China. First, it was a bat. Like I think it was first some guy ate bat soup, which I don't know what they do in China, so whatever. That could be somewhat plausible. But then you have people. Oh, you got pissed on by a bat. A scientist got pissed on by a bat that was a bioweapon bat. Now we're all gonna die. Like every time I would see, like even when I was watching the Medicare stream, still like every time I would see one of his streams, and it would just get more ridiculous. Like it wasn't first. It was, oh well, it came out of a wet market, which is like, selling of live animals for eating. And then it's like, oh yeah, somebody ate a live bat in the soup, and now we're all gonna die. Oh yeah, no, actually the guy got pissed on by a bat, and now they're saying, like, I read an article. Well, I didn't read the article yet, but I saw a headline, and I haven't really gotten a chance to check the article out yet. But it was like, oh, almost a year after the COVID scare, China wants to change the official story of how it got discovered again. I'm like, okay, so it wasn't stupid enough that somebody got pissed on by a bat and caused a world plague. Like, okay, how much worse can you make it?
And the funny thing is that, like, going back to like saying, oh, the crazy stories they make, they'll come up with the dumbest things, saying that a tomato has COVID, a watermelon
Apple
has
juice.
COVID, apple juice has COVID. It's not something you see on like the Onion, fake whatever you call it, that comedy news, like how they make fun of news. The Onion. If you have seen it, no, it's not on the Onion. It's literally on New York Times. It's like, what?
Yeah, like there was something I read recently. I was like, oh my god, please be the Onion, please be the Onion. I think it was that article that I might have posted somewhere, where it was like there was a person that made like a make your own human steaks meat kit or something, and it's like, and he was trying to argue, the headline was something like, maker of make your own human steaks meat kit argues that it's not technically communism. I saw it on the New York Post, and I'm like, okay. I am going to look at this before I post it. I'm going to confirm that this is satire, because it has to be. There's no way that I'm going to read this headline and believe it right away. And sure enough, it's not satire.
Yeah, it's something that's really out there. But it's like people go on the news, go on websites, and it's like, do you not realize this is satire? They're making fun of you. They're just like having a laugh out of it. And people just catch that information. They're like, oh, okay, I guess. Yeah, I guess. It's like, come on, people,
Yeah, what level of stupid do you have to be?
Mm-hmm. To like actually believe that stuff. Oh, why do you believe in that stuff? Because, oh, it comes from New York Times, it comes from BBC, it comes from CNN. Oh, that's why I believe it, Oh no, he cut out. Well, let's see if he comes back on. Wait a second. Oh, guys, that was kind of a foul stream already. He caught out in the middle. If you guys don't mind, we'll wait at least 3 minutes to give him time to come back. Maybe his internet had shut down or something. We'll give him 3 minutes. You guys can talk in the chat if you guys want to. Yeah, probably. Yeah, YouTube got wind and booted him. Probably that is weird. It just completely like booted him. He either pressed a run button and just exited off, or YouTube dropped him. That is weird. Oh, there he is. Let me add him back.
I went to go find something, and I realized I clicked out of the wrong browser window.
Oh, damn. Some people were saying, I already thought they already took you out, man.
Yeah. That's the next thing. One of these days, they're just gonna be like, "Where did Hell on Wheels go?"
Yeah,
he got rolled away in the back of a white van. Or I don't know. Does the government use black or white vans? I don't know.
I think they use both.
Yeah, you get your black and white symbolism.
Yeah,
You're right.
Black and white symbolism. Going straying away from the COVID thing. What do you think of, like, the what's it called? The whole, like, beyond meat thing that's going on, where they're just completely changing our diet and our way of eating. What do you think of that?
I think that it's part of their. It's definitely part of their agenda, for sure. I think that like it is gonna go to. I think it is gonna go to cannibalism. Like, you know, Soylent Green. That movie takes place in 2022.
Hmm.
And that's why I think we're seeing stuff like, you know, even back a few years ago, there were behaviorists trying to see how many people would actually eat human meat if they asked them in experiments. And they are going to have us eating each other. They're already engineering the food shortages. They're putting it in our collective consciousness. They've been, you know, our zombie programming is part of that. All the cannibal movies and cannibal stuff. Like, haven't you noticed over the past few years how much stuff is like cannibal
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and how in the early 2010s it was the zombie craze.
Hmm.
Like, I would argue in some ways we are already living in the zombie apocalypse because people, like, you know, most people are gone,
Hmm.
but it's also the fact that they're getting people accustomed to the idea of people eating each other.
Yeah. And that's just like, I don't know if talking about that, there's actually a comedy called the Santa Clarita Diet, if you have heard of it, which was
Oh
basically
yeah.
about this woman that all of a sudden she has the urge to start eating, and if she doesn't eat, she'll basically die. If she doesn't kill and eat human flesh, you know.
Yeah.
And they
I saw that.
yeah, and they're just making it to like a ha 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 comedy, you know. It's funny.
Yeah, haha, somebody has to chop up people and eat human flesh. Like, I'm sorry, does anybody remember how much we're supposed to be creeped out by people like Jeffrey Dahmer? We're not supposed to laugh at them.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, the show is funny. I have watched it, but like the jokes they say are funny, but knowing the what concept of the show, what it really is about, is like, why would you even laugh at this? You know, they obviously try to put jokes into it so they can make the whole messed up situation better. You know?
Yeah, it's all part of getting people like desensitized to it, because obviously most people are gonna look at things like cannibalism and pedophilia and stuff and be like, "What the fuck? No." And
Mhm.
then, you know, now they're trying to make it funny, like, well, you know, you know, you can laugh at it. Look, that woman has to eat humans to stay alive.
Mhm. Yeah, it's everywhere. The zombie flicks and everything. It's like, you're right about that. And just going back to like video games and movies and violence, they're just trying to make us desensitized and make that a normal thing. You know, it's like that's what they're trying to do, and that's one of the reasons why you see so much aggression outside with people. Was like, because at that moment when they see the movie or play that game or whatever, it might not affect them, but slowly it does. You know, mentally it does.
Yeah, I noticed it. I actually noticed this effect and really thought about it when I watched the series Black Mirror.
Hmm.
I started watching that when it first came out, and I was like, you know, I was horribly, horribly disturbed by it, obviously, because this was, at the time, I was also really heavily researching the Agenda 21 and the technocracy and stuff. That was like when I was really, really deep down that rabbit hole. So I'm just like, so I'm sitting here freaking out about it, and then I was like, I was thinking to myself, like, I am letting this affect me. This is what they're pushing us toward, and I'm already letting myself get desensitized to it. But at the same time, I have to watch it so I can point things out to people when I'm trying to wake them up.
Hmm.
But it's just when they get the initial horror and the initial violence out of people, it's like they don't even realize it's affecting them. That's why you have to be really aware when you are watching things. Even something like as stupid and comedic as like a show like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, for example. You know, in 2013, they had an episode of It's Always Sunny where it was the gang gets quarantined and they quarantine themselves into the bar. No one was allowed to get in and out. Nobody could order any food.
Hmm.
So like they quarantined themselves because, get this, a bad strain of the flu ravaging Philadelphia in that episode in 2013.
Wow. It's like that's just basically predictive programming. It's like they're all locked down. Like I actually never seen Sunny It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but yeah, that's a pretty creepy episode. And just telling of what they it's like that's what they do too with the shows. Like no one would expect to look back on Sunny in Philadelphia Always Sunny in Philadelphia and to think it's predictive programming because most of the episodes don't even have to do with anything, you know? They decide to like put a random episode one day about some virus, you know?
Yeah, they're like always. It's like I found it on accident. Like I'm just like, come on, man. This is what I get stoned and laugh at. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. I heard it's a really good show, but yeah. But like going back to it's like the Beyond Meat and everything that's happening. It's usually like it's basically Agenda 2030, you know? The whole
Yeah,
racial thing, the whole LGBT thing, the whole like feminist versus like men versus women, everything is under like the whole like Agenda 2030 plans, you know?
yeah, and the Beyond Meat. Like right now, I don't know. Like you look at. I actually had the TV on. I was in the living room with the rest of my family, who's like really asleep, and they were watching TV, and every third commercial was, "Oh, look at these chicken nuggets, but they're not meat. Oh, look at this Impossible Burger from Burger King. Go try it. Oh, are you afraid you might like it?" I'm like, okay, so it's gonna look and maybe it's gonna kind of taste like meat right now, but
Mhm.
that's only the beginning. You're gonna know in a few years. You're gonna be like, yeah, I'm eating cockroaches and it's terrible, but at least we're not eating meat.
Yeah. And it's like it is like meters like what are part of our diet of what we eat every day. It's like I eat steak what probably like 4 times a month. I eat my good self a good, juicy steak. But like if that's gone, you know how many people are gonna like suffer, that obviously they can get through it, but still it's like they're taking away essential foods that are real and replacing it with fake crap.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't want us to have anything real. Our
Hmm.
world is already mostly fake, and that's why they're taking us away from nature and stuff, because they know that, like, in this last part might sound a little bit crazy, but nature is our spiritual nature is a big part of our connection to God. Doing
Hmm.
natural things like eating meat, walking outside in the woods, that's all what keeps us connected to spirit. Like,
Hmm.
so now they're trying to take all of that away because they know that if they disconnect us from God, even with some of the stuff that people are saying about the vaccine trials, how one lady was saying that she can no longer feel God after
The
volunteering for one of
vaccine.
the vaccines. So that's what they're doing. It's not just that they're taking away our humanity. They're taking away our connection to everything that makes us human and makes us people of God, whatever you believe God is.
Hmm. Yeah, that is true. And if that is true, what that person said, that account of the person saying that it basically took their fate away. It basically they can't see God. If that's true, that's a very scary thing because knowing how many Christian Catholic people are gonna just completely lose their faith once they get injected, and they're just gonna turn like completely like atheist or whatever you want to call it. You know?
Yeah, well, it's exactly what's said in the Bible. Like once you take that
Hmm.
mark of the beast, it's like you're completely disconnected from God, and that's
From God,
exactly
yeah,
what the vaccine is about.
yeah, and just thinking about it. To be honest, I just think the vaccine is literally the mark of the beast. Knowing what they're talking about, what they're saying, I'm beginning to believe that the vaccine is the mark of the beast. You
Yeah,
know?
that's what I'm thinking too. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, well, no, it's not. It's going to be the thing that comes afterward." I'm like, "All right, but how many of these people have come out now and said that it took their ability to see God away?"
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And going back to like the whole Beyond Meat, not the Beyond Meat, but like the stuff was like soon enough they're just gonna stop us from hunting, and they're gonna move us out of like rural areas and put us into this big techno cities, smart cities, where they're gonna keep everyone controlled in one spot, and anyone that goes outside the grid will probably be hunted down or arrested. It's like soon enough you won't be able to live outside this so-called city. This could be in the late future. We don't know because that's for now. It could be a possibility, but it's not really. We're not really seeing it as much as we want to. As much as like some people may make it up to be. At least that's on me. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I kind of like would think that that's a little bit further out, but then like they are doing it slowly, like with their obviously this is a whole different discussion with their weather modification directed energy weapons or whatever it is that they're doing to cause these floods and fires, but they can't just outright right now because people are already on edge. It's just I don't want to hang my hat on. Oh yeah, that's coming later though, because I thought that we were gonna have a few more years left. I've said this so many times to people that like I didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Yeah.
We all thought Agenda 2030. So like we might have a couple more years. Yeah, they'll gradually keep putting the temperature up, but no, they hiked the temperature up.
Yeah, they keep hiking it up every single day, every single month, every single day, every single month. There's something new that pops up, and it's like, oh, and we with truthers here just sit down and it's like, oh wow, look, they just stepped that up a bit. Oh, it's a new part to their plan, While normies, because some person in the comments said that calling them sheeps is cringy, but whatever. But yeah, I'll just say normies for that exclusive person. But normies, they're not gonna see it that way,
Yeah, they're not, and I can understand. Just to play devil's advocate for a minute, I can understand why some people might think it's like a bad thing to call people sheep. I'm not gonna call like people that are asleep sheep just out in public or whatever, because that's not really helping. That's just furthering the divide and conquer. But they are following like sheep, and I think a lot of us truthers right now are getting super frustrated because I know for me, every time I talk to a normie and they're like, "Oh yeah, but like it'll be okay when the vaccine gets here," I'm like, "No, you need to see. You need to see."
Yeah. Yeah. So before I do, because I am going to be wrapping up in 10 minutes, because I do have to go. Do you have any interesting video you want to show?
The only thing I really had that I wanted to show was the Fox one. I guess like I don't think people really heard it, so I guess I can try to get it working with the volume up again. I don't know.
I mean, I think you did turn it up, and most people did at least see it. But yeah, and like I don't know, man. It's like whatever we're going through right now is like it's good to like find people right now that think like you and just are the same as you, because those are the people you're going to be needing right now, because other people are just going to be against you.
Yeah, they are already turning normies against you. Like when I try to wake people up, they get super aggressive with me. And sometimes I'm afraid, even though I have like a legitimate medical reason not to wear a mask, sometimes I'm almost afraid. Like if I walk in here without a mask, I'm gonna be like in trouble. I mean, I do it anyway. Like I'll walk in there with the chin so that like technically I can't get in trouble for not wearing a mask. But I like people do give you looks.
Yeah,
people look, and you can see like the energy rolling into some places where people are just like, oh, these people, these selfish people that don't want to have to breathe through fabric.
Yeah, and sometimes I do put my mask on because either it's like, what am I gonna do? So that means I can't go buy my steak, I can't go buy my cereal, I can't go buy my drink because I can't. Or what else? I don't want to cause a ruckus either and go to jail or get end up kicked out of the store because I have get kicked out of the store before. And I'm to the point where it's like I just wear that stupid bandana thing over my mouth, and that's how I go into places, you know. But in a way, I also do it to be respectful to like people that not people just be respectful, and that's what I do it mostly for. I know probably if I wouldn't wear one, but I have to do it because I just try to be respectful, and that's the thing, you know.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to wear one either, but at the same time, like I also don't want that retail employee that's already having a bad day to also have to argue with me over that. Like I'll wear it at least over my chin because I'm sorry, I'm not compromising my ability to breathe to like in most cases. The only time that I will really wear my mask properly is after I wait outside, like when I go into the doctor's office to get my med appointment because I have to, and because they will not let you in without a mask worn exactly the way that they want you to.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just about respect and like it's like at the end of the day, yeah, masks are like it's ridiculous, but what can you do? You know, it's like you don't want to ruin your life right now because it's already going with most people's lives. I'm not even talking about personal. I'm just talking about in general what's happening. It's already going with the shit. You don't want to make that worse, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to make it. You don't want to make it faster. Like I already
Yeah,
know. I already know it's gonna suck when I like refuse the vaccine.
yeah, it's gonna suck. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Right now, I'm in a like both sides of the fence. Should I do it? But if I don't do it, that means I cannot go back to work. I cannot continue studying. It's like, what do I do? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm in this. I'm in the same boat. Like,
Hmm.
what do you do? It's like I don't want to comply because then if it's like it's hard because despite the fact that we anti-maskers are not, we don't have morals. It's actually hard to get. It's hard to get it like to where okay, is it moral to comply or is it moral to not?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to go into a place full of sick people that are already scared and not wear a mask.
Hmm.
But it's like where do I draw the line between like what is or isn't moral? Because you can really make an argument for morality on both sides.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Just to wrap it before I wrap it up, do you have any last minute thoughts or you want to say something?
No, I'm all good, man. Thanks for having me. Um, I hope that maybe we can do this again sometime. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm glad to see everybody in here also enjoying people with sanity being on the internet.
Yeah, man, it was great having you too, bro. I planned this a long time ago. I was trying to do it with another person, but that person decided to be busy. But yeah, man, it was great talking with you. I'm glad that we got to have this moment.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You too, bro. Have a good night and see you in the next one. And
All
God
right,
bless,
see ya.
bro.
God bless.